Okay, here we go, round two. I sat down to record something yesterday, and probably not quite right. So here I am sitting down again today to record about this. It's very challenging being this vulnerable and allowing myself and ourselves to be so exposed, because my heart is churning, and like my wounds are vibrating, and my being, there's parts of me, aspects of me that do not want me to talk about this stuff. And then I just feel so much crying. Needs to happen, has happened. This is just so traumatic. So traumatic. And yeah, this is my testimony in beginning, because it has to move on. It just has to move on. And I've been working for, I don't know how long, 20 years and more, working on becoming more conscious and healing wounds and transforming. Yeah, going from seeking enlightenment to embodying light. Aye. And yeah, the dark stuff has followed me my whole life. And I can feel I probably will cry because it's just, wow, just so there. So just to begin, it feels like, well, our being, my being, our being, Susie and I's being, is asking us to document this process. And it'll be a mix of being messy, it'll be enlightening, it'll cultivate wisdom on the path, integrating this journey, and everything in between. And because it's a journey of remembrance and remembering bits that are so far away in memory but so close in emotion, spirit. It's got the memory, it's got it, and my being has not allowed me to remember more fully until I'm strong enough to be able to integrate my experiences. And yeah, I've been willing to go through that. Let's make sure this is recording. It is. So essentially, where to start? I mean, in this, just it's about making sense of this incarnation, and this bit, like I say, will probably be a bit messy at times, because integrating this and bringing light to this allows for the greater perspective and the greater work, the greater cosmic work of balance and management to be present. It's just this is like a gnawing, nagging, hurting wound or series of wounds that have to be healed and made whole, so I and we can be present with our duties and obligations, our responsibilities for the greater evolutionary process, which is happening here on and in and with our beloved Mother Planet, the Father-Son system, child, emergent, HomoLuminous, integrated light beings. We are being born, and there is a birthing process going on, and there are beings all over that are here to help the birthing process. Many of them are not incarnate here as these vessels, as us. Many are all sorts of types of beings, light beings, extraterrestrials, different frequency spectrums, working together from the inside. So deep, working together from the inside to the outside and helping the birthing process back to balance and harmony from the opposite, which is what we've all been living. We've been living the pathway of integration, and compression, pathway of compression and integration. So compressing all our universal experience into these fractals, into our beingness and experiences. And a fractal is a seed. We are the seeds, and we're in our mother's womb, being held by our Father, and we're being born as universal light beings. That's what's going on. And yeah, I'm emotional when I'm saying this, because I've got this trauma and wound, and I'm working in regard to dark agendas and distorted experiences. I'm looking at the camera because it's important, because it's important to relay that we are being born as brand new, integrated, true light beings. Beings of unified, integrated light. Beings who have brought home and brought together their universal journey into wholeness. All their dark, all their light, brought home, integrated into unity. That's what this universe is about. This is a universe. It's one verse, one song, one verse. I love one note. I love one note, because to me, all the notes are in one note. That's why I love the drone. And you can hear it in so many indigenous cultures across our world. And the drone, the beginning and the end, it's all in there. It's important to relay the fact that we are being born, and it's a participatory process in creation. Many of collective are still unconscious at certain levels, becoming conscious, and regardless of the level of conscious awareness, collectively we're facing ourselves. We are facing our collective shadow and our collective light. That's what's going on, and we've got the opportunity to bring it home. Yeah, and again, I'm feeling glum, and because of my trauma that I'm processing, and because it's been such a long journey. It's been such a long journey, and piercing through ages, epochs, eras, ages, and eons of time in this incredible place, the universe. Getting to know who the universe is, that's the job here, and to remember that, and to be it. That's the job. The job is not to create a synthetic light and a synthetic dark and have them dualized, duality, where there's a perfected side and an imperfect side, and they're contrasting expressions that fight to each other, battle, and claim that each is right or each is wrong. The universe holds all of that, holds that duality in the balance of wholeness, and it's our job to transcend the duality and the dialectic of these opposites, and to bring them home into wholeness. This is what I always have to share. It'll always come back to this for me, is this bringing home to wholeness. I'm doing this with my hands, and I used to do this in my 20s and 30s when I became aware of it, but I didn't realise at the time, it was co-opted. It had been co-opted as a worship thing, and in recent years it has been reclaimed with great gratitude and thanks to one of our true giant mentors and spiritual friends, brothers in arms and in evolution. A great friend and ambassador of life, George Cavasilis, has been a superb remembrance coach for us. And one of the things, but I know it's just the emotions, one of the things he's helped remind us of is where this comes from. This prayer, hands, and it's bringing the opposites together. So it's bringing the polarity together, the positive, the negative, the masculine, the feminine, the natural light, the natural dark, who are completely equal and are the same thing. But it's about bringing them together into here, into wholeness. And our journey, so still remembering this, but so bringing the opposites together, and then us, the incarnational fractals, going from the head to the heart and bringing it all home. It's beautiful to feel that returning to the heart, because personally it was so basically in 2012 I had the experience of being ostracised out of my spiritual community. I was ostracised, and I literally couldn't engage with my spiritual practice properly for over a decade because of the level of shadow and darkness that's had to be integrated into my being just through experience. Because I comprehend it a lot better now, I comprehend an inner stand. I stand inside more fully with this awareness of the fact that I've been coming home to myself and integrating my being and my universal experiences into a wholeness. It's been very confusing because it was like, why has it been so dark for so long? Why does it keep on going? Why am I going off my head constantly? What is going on? Why am I literally screaming? And why am I, all the sounds? I've expressed a lot of sounds these past decade and longer. Everything from deep black screams, I won't present that now, to hysterical, prolonged laughter, to deep masculine growls, all sorts of processes, involuntary, repetitive shaking, my body vibrating, shaking. I've had these things. I'll just get my hands. Yeah, I've had these things. In my journey stages of. I'll sort out the order at some point, but briefly it was like shaking, like really like vibrating, my whole body literally lying on the ground, and my body's like hopping on for maybe like a year and a half or something like that, maybe 2 years earlier on, so going from like shaking, which was working energy in such powerful ways that would make sense later. So going from shaking in shaking, I can't remember what came after that exactly, but and then growling, and my heart opening, and my throat, just my voice beginning to emerge more fully, and it was growling like a bear. From I still do that, I still do that, but I did that like regularly, quite solid when it was coming through me for again maybe a year and a half, 2 years, just kind of as a thing that would help me process what was happening within my energies going through this evolutionary process. I'll go into that more another time. I can maybe show an example. These things, and then going into going much more into the darker side of things. Just don't think I've got a tissue. But anyway, going much more into the darker side of things, and having these black screams, which is really like, if you've ever heard black metal music, it's a type of sound, it's a frequency and an energy that gets shared in the music, and it encapsulates the the void, like the black abyss space of ignorance and unconsciousness, and celebrating the secrecy of life. It's a sound. It's like a really piercing, sharp, high-pitched howl, haunted sound. I mean, I'm emanating the energy a bit there. I won't express that. We'll see how we go, if it's ever appropriate to express that with an explanation. maybe, because there's a lot of bands and artists in the world that use these sounds, and maybe they don't quite realise what these sounds are and what they mean creationally. A lot of the music we hear, some artists and bands will be aware of what they're doing. Many won't be aware of what they're actually, the rituals that they are doing, the energies that they're summoning, and the spirits, entities and beings that they are co-creating with. They won't be aware, perhaps. And many of the really big bands, big stars and that, many of them, unfortunately, it's sad, are working through altars, as far as I can see. So they're not really fully being them, they're in an altar. They're in a partial bit of themselves. Many of them are in cloned bodies. Actors on the stage in the game of worship. Not the big stars, where it's into the hundreds of thousands and into millions of people worshipping these beings. And where do we think that worship goes? That energy, it goes through the being, and it goes to the god and the entity that is associated. It goes to the owner of where that star, that's a mainstream version of star, has consented to work with, either consciously or unconsciously. It's a sad state of affairs, what has happened. And I won't go on a tangent too much, but why I love independent and music so much. I like grassroots music as well as sort of bigger music, because literally you will find a great musician in pretty much every town, village and city, many more in cities across the world. You will find at least one. You'll find brilliant artists, musicians, philosophers, writers everywhere. And it's a handful of these groomed, created, manipulated stars, mainstream stars, that get all the attention, and that is basically worship. And it makes the arts very challenging as a call it an industry, creative industries, music industries. It's our birthright. Being an artist is our birthright. It's actually our earthright. I say our birthright, it's our earthright. It's our incarnational right as these vessels to create. It's our right to create. That's why the matrix system makes it so hard. It turns it into a hierarchical structure where it just makes it very challenging to be successful as an independent artist. It's not possible. Many people do it. I personally know dozens of successful grassroots independent professional musicians and artists who make a living and share their love and share their art, and it's amazing. So it's perfectly doable. But I've experienced firsthand the journey of that, the difficulty, and everything you have to face, or at least what I've faced in that journey. So many things to talk about, and I'm going with this because basically, I go where the energy goes, and yeah, I am committed to returning home, so I'll always do that. So I'm still got this sadness, is it grief? It's trauma. It is trauma. It is suppressed, hidden trauma. And I will try and go into it. It is the hardest topic to talk about because of the programming and the threatening behaviour that goes along with it. I know that I am my own captor, so I'm captive. I'm being held captive by my own captor. I'm holding myself captive. I am the prison guard as well as the prisoner. I have the key to open the prison door that I have placed myself upon and in. And yes, I'm in co-creation with other entities and beings who are helping facilitate that. But ultimately, I'm the one with the keys and the sovereign nature, the sovereignty. I'm the one to remember that and break free from the prison. And yeah, it has been a prison. It has been a prison, being so subjugated and so twisted and torn and broken and so miserable. Yeah. Yeah. It's been a very polarized internal experience in my life, because I've always had this great light that is my starlight, my natural starlight, my sunlight, my essence, and then this darkness, this dark shadow that has been with me. Well, I can actually remember, I have memory before conception, I have memory of that, and then through to birth, and yeah, all the pain and suffering that was going to be endured, that I chose to experience, that I am living and have been processing and coming to terms, coming home with this whole life so far, and I'll continue to bring it home and make it whole, because I am determined to, I'm committed to seeing this through. Yes, it has been a struggle. I have had some serious issues, like everybody, but yeah, but thankfully, gratefully, I've had the awareness of my greater being. I've had the awareness of my soul, and I've been able to witness myself when I'm going through all this trauma and reliving all this abuse, and literally just crying my heart out, or shaking, or literally convulsing, purging, all sorts of things to let the energy out. Yeah, it's been, yeah, it's just complete, tongue-tied there, completely transformational journey it has been, and it's all about facing oneself and bringing home, integrating the experience, remembering, putting the members back together, because they have been taken apart, the members, and then to remember is to bring them back together, remember them and bring them home. So, I mean, I will do my best to unveil this as we go. I keep kind of edging on, sort of saying, like It's trauma. I've said a bit, don't know how many details I can go into because I'm still remembering them, but I guess I will a bit. So essentially, Susie and I, our being is asking us to open up and document and talk about our journey with the Secret Space Program. Secret Space Programs, plural, and this side of life. And for me, it's about that and remembering the benevolent, integrated, managerial friend of evolution, connecting with benevolent star family and helping the birthing process here. All of that for me. So basically the dark side and the light side, the being presented as we go. But I'm basically come to terms with the fact that part of my being, aspects of my being, kind of wondered why I've had it's basically been like a split personality. Yeah, I've been dealing with, I thought it was just my shadow was so intense that it's just when it arrived, just live it and experience it, and it was the direct opposite of my light, and so I've just been living it as my shadow, but remembering more recently in recent years of off-world dark experiences, traumatic, abusive energies, and the manipulation is off the scale with all this, and it's a bit bamboozling. The radar that I have is my heart and my feelings. Yeah, I'm trying to talk about this and it's hard because there's so many blocks, and I will get to know more about it, but essentially I'm constantly integrating this Nazi, so controlling, dictatorial, menacing, satanic force that is just, it's basically like, well, I'm trying to say that name, it's such a name, but like Adolf Hitler, that type of thing, I mean, if there's a being that embodies what Nazism is, then yeah, that being does that. The darkness, and goes into the dark, and goes into that domain, and it's the distorted Draco, distorted reptilian, and the greys, these distorted beings, distorted insectoid beings, distorted environments and empires. It goes there, and me being a part of that, and not having the details, but I've had memories and feelings of being on craft in Saturn, with Saturn, around Saturn, as part of the Saturnian empire, this dark cosmic cabal, Saturnian misery fest of we will control. So like Saturn, parts of Saturn as a being, like its goal is to dominate the solar system, because if it can dominate this solar system then it can be in charge of the cosmos, because Saturn is the embodiment of the God entity. That's true. I mean, George Cavassalis speaks of this, and it's true. the planets here in our solar system, are embodiments of really large energies, entities, beings. They are in their own right beings who have incarnated as planets here. And Saturn is God, is the God entity incarnate as a planet in our solar system. It has the rings of Saturn around it, which is its crown, because it wants to be the ruler, it wants to be the king, the queen, the king. It wants to be the controller of this solar system, because this solar system is a fractal of a greater cosmos. Working in that arena, working in that dark cosmic cabal arena. I don't know exactly the details, but like Nazi experiences, armies, spacecraft. It's like, raping and pillaging, basically, taking, marauding, harming life. It's all about harming life and taking and subjugating nature, trying to. Thank goodness nature ultimately cannot be subjugated and is completely impossible to do. That's why it's such a relentless effort. It just is relentless, because you have to continually subjugate, continually manipulate, continually control, because nature is always bigger than it. So this thing, it's like relentless. It's a convincing campaign for itself to feel in charge and in control. And I have been a part of that. Parts of me, integrating these parts of myself. Again, I can't go into details just now. Roll with my face. Anyway, but we will over time unpack this. But yeah, experience with the Greys. I don't know exactly what type, but in my family unit, experience with the Greys, and it's been involved in dark programs. And yeah, I'm dealing with this Nazi satanic aspects. Yeah, so not sure what else to say. Don't know how long I've went on there. I would like to say more. I'll try. Thanks for listening, by the way. Thank you for listening. I hope this is helping in some way, whether it be triggering or potentially some energy being shared that is helpful for your own remembrance journey. But essentially, integrating the traumatized, abused child is hard to face, and because your experiences as a child, wow, when you're that early creator being, incarnate creator being, you're so open to take it all in, take it all on and become it. That's why the controlling, the matrix side of life really gets in there through the whole process to subjugate as much as possible, to make it as difficult as possible to shine our true, natural, authentic light. That's what we've contracted them to do. because they are the forces of limitation. It is the ultimate challenger that we are faced with. How can you shine your light when you've got this challenge? We have signed up for that because it's the way. It seems like, is it the only way? At the moment, for me anyway, it's the only way to become this integrated light, is to face this epic, cosmic, universal challenge. And that's why I have love and gratitude for the darker side of life, my dark aspects, because I have to forgive and I have to bring them home. To do that, I have to know what they are. I have to recognise them, remember them and bring them home. I don't want to be in conflict with them. That's what the trauma does. The trauma can create splits in our energy, in our beings, in our psyches, in our emotional bodies. And then we can go to war with different aspects of ourselves because they seem so different from one another, because they're expressing such extremely different sides of creation. And yeah, that's been the challenge for me, has been able to bring home such dark, evil aspects. Bring them home and love them, and bring them back to wholeness, and bring the universal journey home. So that's what I'm working with, reconciling the abused child, the traumatized child, the traumatized spirit. But thankfully the spirit is very strong and very piercing. And yeah, getting through the wounds, transforming and healing the wounds. So important to heal our wounds, for me to heal my wounds. Because the wound network, it's how the matrix gets into us to control us. It uses our unconscious awareness, or subconscious, connected with the wounds, the unhealed parts of ourselves, and it manipulates that through narrative, story, and controlling our beings through our wounding. That's why it's imperative and it's very, very important and top priority to heal our wounds, because then we can actually start to bring this stuff home, rather than just continually being held by this something pulling on you. It's like, wow, deal with the wound. And many of them for me come from childhood, and so dealing with that and transforming them. So yeah, I look forward to knowing more about my off-world experiences, and there's other off-world experiences. They're not all dark and distorted, dystopian, terrorizing, satanic, evil, dark side of God experiences. There's beautiful experiences as well, connecting with my natural star heritage and the natural benevolent aspects of me and my star family. yeah, big journey has been going on, and little Wilson here, little Wilson here is doing his best to remember it, and also doing his best to not drive myself and Susie totally bonkers with my often very reactive, very intense behaviour, and very defensive, and because instantly, can be triggered, and this horrible energy becomes present. Pardon me. Excuse me. Wow. Often when we're burping, it's just energy moving. So, excuse me. Yeah, getting to be able to manage these, for me, these psychopathic alters. So a psychopathic alter that suddenly comes online, and being able to be bigger and wiser, and be able to calm and process the experience with as little damage to myself and to things as possible. I've hurt myself in the past. I've got scars from, I punched you can see that there. Anyway, see a wee bit hole. I did that to myself. Very painful. I just in a psychotic state, I punched my hand through a fish tank. It was empty. It was in our shed years ago, because I was in a psychotic mode, and when you're in that psychotic mode, it's like to appease the energy, it longs for destruction. It needs destruction for it to feel safe, and it's like it's overwhelming. It's like it's like so crazy, and one of these times, and just punched my hand through this empty fish tank that Susie had collected. She was thinking of using it in an art project, and it was horrible. Sorry if this was a bit graphic, but it was horrible. I punched my hand through. It was the first time I saw like the flesh rip. It was like slow motion. It was horrible. I'm sorry, this is quite graphic. I'm sorry. And it sliced my pinky. It sliced. I don't know if you can. Anyway, I don't be able to see that, but it kind of sliced a bit of my pinky, and it punctured a hole here and with the glass, and there's just the skin was hanging down. I'm sorry, that's repulsive, and it was traumatizing and shocking, and it was the first time I was like, holy shit, because I was like, there was so much blood, and I knew it was okay enough, but I was like, wow, this needs treated immediately. And I was like, whoa, went to hospital, did that thing, and they stitched up the finger, the flap, stitched it up, and I can't remember what they did here, closed this somehow with glue or something, and that's why it's left. It's not quite it's never flat, because it's kind of glued back together. It was quite, it was like almost like, primitive sort of process, at the hospital. It was very, needle and sewing up, and horrible. But then the whole time you have to process what you've just experienced. It's like, fucking hell, pardon my language. But yeah, you're in hospital. Susie was there, and she's traumatized because I behaved so crazily. And you're just sort of dealing with all the trauma and dealing with the experience. Oh my life. Anyway, so yeah, that's one experience that has happened, which is, when you're actually a crafts person, so musician, music teacher, you know, you need your hands. You need your hands for everything. Cooking, cleaning, living, loving, being. You need your hands for. They are awesome friends. So yeah, damaging them is not good. And yeah, I'm sorry to my hand for doing that. And yeah, so you live with it, and then you just heal it. And it took a long time to heal. Anyway, so that's just one kind of incident to share there. Wow, thank you for listening again. I will continue this later. I'll continue this later, and we will go further into secret space program experiences, integration, and remembering our innate, remembering my innate star qualities, starlight, star heritage, becoming whole and being willing to face the dark, and being willing to live the light. Yeah, so yeah, it's a journey, and it is a journey. It absolutely is a journey of remembrance. So thanks again. I will turn it off here, and we will catch you soon. Thank you. Bye for now. Cheers.